I've covered for you long enough. I might sound a little rough. I'm wearing orange now and
Colour.
you Scott, you did this,
Colour.
and now Scott. Now I know why. Now I know why. Now I know why. It was you, Scott, you, and now I know why. I asked you where your dad was. Where was Big Daddy? You got so angry when I went to feed the baby goat. Now Scott, now I know why. Now I know why. Now I know why. It was you, Scott, you, and now I know why.
Get up.
Where your dad was. Where was Big Daddy? You got so angry when I went to feed the baby goat. Now Scott, now I know why. Now I know why. Now I know why. It was you,
Colour.
Scott, you, and
Colour.
now I know
Colour. Colour.
why. I am hella mad and burning with rage, Scott, and now I know why.
When she was upset and scared easily, she's talking about, she said, my response
I am hella mad and burning with rage, Scott, and now I know why. Now I know why. Now I know why. It was you, Scott, you, and now I know why.
Colour.
Now I know why. It was you, Scott, you, and now I know why. I am hella mad and burning
Scott,
with rage, Scott, and now I know why.
Do you like that? Yeah. Oh, look, the smoke. There's smoke, everybody. Hello, everyone. Excited utterance here. My name's Hella. I am hella mad and burning with rage, Scott. And now I know why. Did you see how she said hella? Hella, hella, hella. I know. He needs lasers, yeah. Oh my god. Oh, that was his first time hearing. We were in the back, we were backstage and laughing our asses off. I'm so glad I got to watch that with somebody for the first time. Yeah, okay. I might have. Thank you, beautiful waterfall. Thank you. I might have spent a little bit too long on that. Just a bit. Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
You like?
I do.
Ilya? You
It's
do?
okay. It's okay.
Well, watch it a few times and we'll see. It'll grow on you. I might have, made quite a few songs, and that was the one that just grew on me and grew on me, and it was the I am hella mad and burning with rage, Scott. That was a bit that, yeah, that sold me. That sold me. Yeah. Hi, Ilya, says Evie. Are we doing the whole trial? I haven't decided yet. Probably. We'll see. It's a 3-week trial, so it's kind of like one of those things. We'll see how much people like it, and we'll see if we can. Oh, smoke around here. We'll see if it's fun. That made me smile, and I'm dead inside. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Like we like this kind of stuff around here. Hey, JC the Music Man. See, you like music. You may have worked on that all day, Hella. I might have. Yeah. These things don't. These things take time. These things take time. You're obsessing over Luigi today. Oh my God, Luigi.
Yeah. That
Like-
was amazing.
Well, where's Luigi? It's like, where's Wally? Except he's buff.
Yeah. I think the CEO
Alrighty.
kidnapped Princess Peach. I think that was Justin's joke.
Was it?
Yeah,
It
so-
might be a banger, Boo Berries. It just might. It just might. It even had a sax solo. Bravo.
Yeah.
Why, thank you. It's better at 1.25. Oh, is it? Ooh, it could be. It could be. Okay, let's get into it. So here's what we're going to do. You thought this was tomorrow. Why would you think it's tomorrow? It's Monday, isn't it? It's your Monday, right? Today's
Yeah.
your Monday? Yeah, right. Yeah. Hey, chat. Hey, DC Cripple. How are you? Matt, seriously, I've been watching some other channels lately, and like they don't start till 10 minutes after their time, and then they have like a 15-minute intro.
I know.
Right? So you're doing all right over here. You're doing all right. Hey, Johnny Osprey, how are you? And Nicola is here too. Good. The must watch. Hit the like. Cool. All right. So what we're doing is we're going to watch the opening statements. All right. So I watched them back in the beginning when this started about a month ago, and a little bit over a month ago now. And I got really interested in this trial, and I was like, shit, I wish I could watch the whole thing. But Boone was starting and a bunch of other things. And I kind of checked in a little bit along the way, and Ilya was as well. He was watching it a bit, and he was like, oh, damn, this is a good trial. I wish we could be watching this trial. I'm
Yeah.
watching it a bit at work, but I can't keep up with it. And then this whole sentencing thing happened the other day when she completely pointed the finger at her son, like we were seeing in the video just then. She just turned around and went, Scott, now I know why you did all that stuff, because it was you. It was you, Scott, you, and now I know why. And she kept saying, now I know why, now I know why, now I know why. And she also took the lawyer's advice and didn't testify, which might not have been the smartest thing to do. Oh, by the way, she's a narcissist too,
Of course.
of course. But not enough of a narcissist because she didn't get up on the stand.
Yeah. Probably should have.
Usually the narcissists get up on the stand. Anyway, let's get into it, guys, because it's actually really, like, the opening statements remind me a little bit of the Halderson opening statements. They're fun. There's plenty more things. All right, so, hey, David, how are you? No more clips. Oh, I heard you got demonetized, David.
Sorry. It was
Wait,
because he kept
no-
posting clips of me.
That's what it is. Did you strike him, Ilya? Did you strike David?
Tee. First Hales, now me. First I shut his stream down, and then I demonetize him.
No, poor David. Poor David. I'm sure you're on a list, David. I'm really sorry that happened, David.
Yeah, I am too.
You only just got monetized. This is bullshit. I just watched Luigi's perp walk out of the cop car. I think he absolutely wanted to get caught. Oh, for sure. He's probably waving. Well, if he could have been waving at his fans,
Yeah.
he would have been. Okay, let's get into it, everybody. Also, we're having a little game. So let's go. Every 25 gifted memberships, we choose a new melody emoji for chat. So we need to replace some emojis because we've got some old ones. So I need some new gifted memberships in order to do that. Because if you don't know how emojis work, you need to have more members in order to change your emojis over. So 25 gifted memberships, and we will put new emojis in, and it can be a picture of perhaps some Mountain Dew, because what's the matter?
No, I just opened Twitter and saw Luigi Mangione update sex symbol Luigi. Mugshot has just been released.
Are you surprised?
God. Sorry.
Okay, I was trying to grift. Excuse me. I'm in the middle of grifting.
Sorry.
Hello, trying to earn a living here. Right, so Every 25 gifted memberships, we will change over to a new emoji for chat, and maybe we'll get rid of our Dr. Pepper and we'll replace it with some Mountain Dew or something like that, because I think Big Daddy really liked Mountain Dew. But we can do a poll or something and we can all work out what the new emoji is, what we decide that we like. Let's get into it, guys. Grift harder. Yeah, I was trying to, Scott, but someone got in my way. Someone got in my way. Someone. His family is wealthy. He's an Ivy Leaguer, bright kid. Oh, yeah. The whole family. Wait till you see the house. Wait till you see
Luigi's Mansion?
Can we stop talking about Luigi?
Oh, you mean this case. Okay.
Yes. Dear me. Topic. The topic of the day.
Okay. Mario.
No,
Or Melody.
not Mario.
Melody.
Melody. Jesus Christ, man. Okay. Do I need to kick you off?
Square.
You're a circle. All right. Alrighty. Here we go. We're going to get started. We have the judge, and we are starting at the beginning of opening statements. This judge is a bit of a weirdo, David L. Cannon. He thinks that he's some sort of celebrity or something. Yeah, this is his moment to shine.
Okay. Kind of reminds me of Halderson's judge.
A little bit, but Halderson's judge he was just plain old nice.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, I think he feels like this is a big celebrity
Really?
kind of show type.
He seems really
yeah.
laid back.
Already set up.
think?
You're good.
I don't
Okay.
know what I saw.
All right, you can proceed.
Right there she is. There's our lady, our ladyship.
Oh, there's our
Tell
manlet.
the jury.
Oh, yeah, little manlet.
I talked to you about being legal investigators.
Oh, God, this is going to be so much
The
fun.
object of all legal investigation is the discovery of truth.
Turn it up.
That's why you're here.
Yeah, really?
The question is really,
Who stole my lifts?
why are you here?
Okay, hang on. Let me see.
I want to put you at ease through this trial. It's going to be a long trial. It will be a
Bend
slow
over.
burn.
He says slow
There's a
burn.
lot of evidence in this case.
Like my infection.
But why is the media here? Look around.
Why
Why
is
are
the
these
media
people
here?
here?
How's that sound, guys?
Why are the attorneys here? Why is the defendant here?
Because it's a trial.
Why is the
Gary
defendant
Farris
here?
will not walk through that door. No problem, Judge. Gary will not walk through that door.
Yeah, slow burn. Ha ha ha
In this
ha ha
trial,
ha 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 ha.
what you have to do is ask yourself, what is the truth? You have to ask yourself certain questions. You do not have to ask yourself, was Gary murdered?
Why, Gary? Why?
He was. The evidence is going to show that. You do not have to ask yourself, was Gary Farris burned on a burn pile? He was.
I love what you read
The
that.
question you have to ask is, who did this? Who did it? This
Don't
is
have
a murder.
Irish.
This is a heinous murder.
Nope.
He was shot,
Should've been sitting in
killed,
county jail.
put on a burn pile, and burned. The question you have to ask,
She
what
was
the
in
evidence
orange.
demands an answer of, is who murdered Gary?
For sentencing?
No,
Now,
before
these
that.
people that are here to
Okay.
see the trial, what I want you to do is they're going to follow the evidence too. But I want you to look at me. Don't worry
hang
about
on.
that.
I should have
Follow
said
the
Evie.
evidence. The
Super chat
evidence
fest, just
demands
kidding.
an answer. And the answer is close. It's at hand. It's close to me.
I should have thanked you, Evie, for the super chat. Thank you, Super Chat Fest. Just kidding. Carry on. I'll be back later. And now I know why. Oh, that's so sweet of you.
Thank you, Evie.
Thank you, Evie.
It's close to you. It was close to Gary. When the object of all legal investigation is the discovery of
Smoky.
truth. At this trial, what you have to do is you have to shrink the world. When you see the evidence, this is
Small
Cherokee
little-
County.
small world
They don't
after
have a
all
lot of
to him.
murders. They definitely don't have a lot of murders when someone was shot
Hey,
and put on a burn
brothers.
pile. You shrink the world.
Whoa, look at that fro in the back.
And when you shrink the world, you're going to come to one conclusion
Okay.
Lord.
and one answer.
With the fro, That
Not
lady.
what happened. Not
Do you
how it
remember?
happened.
Hang on,
Pause.
hang on. Do you remember that lady? She was in the back for the Chloe
Sentencing?
Driver trial.
Oh, was
Remember? No. Remember
Oh, yeah.
when urine drinker, wee man?
she? Oh, yeah.
He was his testimony when they crossed over to look at the gallery. That lady was there.
Huh.
Ha
Wonder-
ha.
she must be a lawyer.
I think she's from the press. That's why she sits right in the back. She takes notes every now and again.
She's taking notes, probably press. But I mean, lawyers do go into other trials. Like if they're early for a hearing, they'll pop in.
I don't know, but like Scott pointed it out. Scott in chat pointed it out that like you can't miss her, right? No way that's somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were like, oh, hang on, where do we know her from? The Melody Farris trial. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
this
in
is the
Cherokee
same
County.
county,
It's
yeah.
the same courthouse.
And
Yeah, right.
thankfully, I already had sources to get record requests, so I put in some stuff today.
Oh, have you now?
Yeah, for the text messages and jail calls after conviction.
Thank you, Ilya.
And
See?
anything else going forward we might want.
You're quite useful for some things. Thank you. Hey,
Who did
Erica.
it? And she's near. Frankie, she's don't mind. If I can get this technology working, Megan's gonna help me here. I wanna move.
Hey, little Kong. Now, we're too dense to do that.
I'll talk loudly so everybody can hear me, but what I wanna do is
Private
as we
joke.
go through this, be comfortable, be at peace as you go through this evidence. Relax and listen to what there is. I know there's a lot going on, but you are the most important people in this matter. It doesn't
Okay.
matter what I say.
We need to pause. We need to pause. Look at her there. Look at Melody there. That's her. Okay, so that's her. That's Big Daddy. Big Daddy.
Is the bride single yet?
Might be by now.
Sweet.
Now I can't tell whether that's Scott or the other one, who I can never remember the name of, but because they really do look quite alike, and that's why at the sentencing, the camera operator couldn't work out which one to focus on because they both looked equally pissed, right? Like when she was going, Scott, it was you who killed your father. They both were like that, and he was like, stop it, like that. But he was focusing on the wrong guy. That wasn't Scott. Now I don't know who that is there. That could be Scott or it could be the other one because he's younger, and it could be just either, right? But that's the daughter, and look at Melody. She's quite a beautiful woman. Like she's really well kept and groomed, and yeah, that's Big Daddy. Look at the size of him. This is really important. Look at the size of him in relation to her.
He's a clean plater.
A what?
Clean plater.
I don't know what that is.
Somebody
Oh,
who
he
eats
cleans his
food.
plate.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get you.
I mean, he's not that big, but I mean, he's tall. Just
Well, he's very big compared to her because
Yeah.
this is important when it comes to moving the body to the burn pile. All right, let's keep going.
No matter what the defense says, is matter what does the evidence say? What does it speak? Let me introduce you to the Farris family. You'll see in front of you there's the family line, the lineage. You'll see on the screen here there's a photograph. You see Gary. Thank you.
Big Daddy.
You see Gary is in this picture, and this is a happy time. This is Emily, the bride in the middle, a daughter.
doesn't look happy for
This is a wedding, I think, about 2 years before the murder, 2016. See Gary, he's in this picture. He's standing there with his wife, the defendant. Now, there are 4 children. And as you go through this, you're going to probably take notes because you hear the same names over and over again. You're going to hear about the Farris. You're going to hear about the Ferris wheel.
The Ferris wheel.
Unfortunately for this family is they have drama. They are not a
hating this
perfect
guy.
family. My family is imperfect. Everybody's family is. They didn't ask for their life experiences and the good and the bad and ugly to come in, but that's what the evidence is going to show. And I have to present it. I have great sympathy, everybody does, for families like this. But the evidence is going to show what was going on in their family. It's going to be the good, the bad, and the ugly, just like anything else.
So
Most
the
families
days
now
of our
don't
lives.
consist of murder. Now, in this family, you're going to see
The
Chris.
midgets of our lives.
On the right side of the screen, you see Gary and Melody. To the right is Chris. He's the oldest, probably about 37. On the other side is Scott.
It's gonna be great.
Scott's about 35. Chris was living in many ways his own life. He was married, had his own kids. You hear about the kids. They're going to be here. You're going to hear about Ella and Addison.
Oh yeah.
The grandkids.
Ella.
Scott was in the military over Iraq. He came back for a while, lived on the property, worked the property, had kind of an agreement with his dad that he would work the land and he would get paid. He didn't have a job really after he came back, and then he ended up with the family. But that was his agreement with his dad. Gary was a very generous man, loved his family. So you had the two guys, the two sons, Chris and Scott, then you had the two girls, Emily in the middle, and Amanda beside her. Amanda was the youngest, the baby, if you would. They were probably around 30, 28, around those age. Gary and Melody got married at a young age. I think it was around 20. 38 years, almost 39. They were married for a long time. They were together, Alabama. Small family. Gary worked hard. You're going to learn a lot about Gary. You're going to learn a lot about Melody. And what you're going to learn is the evidence is going to show that they're both, I dare say, brilliant. He practiced
Thank you,
law,
young man.
corporate law. He went to the University of Alabama. I think he graduated first in his class. Extremely smart, introverted. The defendant, she liked the life of being married to a rich lawyer.
Oh, did she now?
Gary did so well when he was in Alabama. The firm he worked for, corporate law, real estate law, things like that, very successful. They sent him to the Atlanta area here to open up an office for the firm. Did very good.
Hey, need some Z's.
Very smart, worked his way up. I think he ended up being a senior partner. Very smart, loved his job. One thing with lawyers, the longer they do it, the longer they get better at it, the more they get better at it, and they stay at it. But sometimes what they do is they don't
Brilliant observation.
because they interact with people all day long. Oftentimes when they get home, they get close, they get small. And Gary's like that. In their wedding, their marriage, they had some issues that we're going to talk about. And it looks like they were happy here. This was about 2016, but there was a lot going on behind the scenes.
No, Big Daddy.
Gary,
Certainly was big.
you could set the clock to his routine, his habits. He's one of those
Tripped in the
guys.
morning, exactly 5 a.m.
The question you got to answer in this trial
I'm
is
jealous.
not was
Everyone
he murdered.
knew.
It's not how was he murdered, but who did it. The evidence
Bowel
demands the
movements were
answer
legendary.
that he was murdered. He was
Oh, there it is.
shot and killed, and put on a burn pile. This burn pile behind his house. His remains were found. Not much. Gary was a big guy, about 6'4", 300 pounds, give or take.
About 2 feet taller than me.
Yeah,
About 33 pounds remained.
that's a big burn pile. It was bigger when he was in it.
Bigger than Zach's.
When you shrink the world, no robbery, no home
Say
invasions,
shrink.
no enemies,
Shrink the world.
no road rage, nothing like that. When you shrink the world, in a case like this, husband and wife, wife kills husband,
Is
husband
that
dies.
David Hogg in the back right?
The answer to the question, who did it, sits right there. Melody Farris.
What? Shrink the world? I've never heard that term.
Me neither.
That's
Let me talk to you
stupid.
about their property.
It's probably a midget term.
They were affluent. When I grew up in South Carolina, we say they're rich. They were rich.
Oh, they were rich,
He
all
made a
right.
lot of money. He would make probably hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Sometimes his paychecks, even after you take all the taxes out, $20,000. they'd have profit sharing and things like that. He made a lot of money. This property that they lived on in Purcell, 2511 Purcell Lane, Cherokee County, it's a hobby farm. If you see, there's actually a road coming down Purcell Lane, and you see that white area, that's dirt. They had horses. If you go up the driveway, it's along the trees at the bottom, and then there's a driveway in the middle of this photograph. That's to the barn where Scott stayed. Now, the family had trouble. Chris had some issues with drinking. He got in an argument with his mom about a year for this.
Sorry, DJ.
He said something along the lines that Chris was going to beat her to a pulp, put her in a pine box or something along those lines. That's what she says. No, he says. But they had a problem. Scott got back from the military, was living there, getting money from his dad. Emily was married. She had a husband Melody didn't like. He got in some financial troubles, some legal troubles, criminal troubles. Amanda was young. And they all took money from their dad. Not in the bad sense, but he had money. He was willing to do with it. And he'd give him a hard time. When you going to get a job? When you going to pay this back? Those type of things. But he could afford it.
Well, yeah, he could afford it.
House, I believe, is worth the property more than $1 million.
Okay, I'm gonna say this.
Now, when you go through-
Before we go on, $1 million house here is just a house in the suburbs. Like, I live in a house that my house is currently valued at 1.2 million, and
Really?
it's just a house in the suburbs. Yeah,
Like American?
So,
1.2?
US dollars, American 1.2. It'd probably be just a million US, right?
Really?
Yeah, that's because that's what houses cost here, right? Like to live in a metropolitan area, that's just what houses cost, right? So that's just what the cost of living is. So it's just gone up.
Well, it's gone up a lot in the last 5 years here. But if you go out to like Georgia, in a place like this, you can get a nice house like this. A huge property for probably $1 million.
I can't believe how cheap that is. Like that
I know.
house, to buy a house like that here, we'd be looking at 25 mil.
I mean, to buy like just the house in like Scottsdale
And
yeah, it'd be-
property.
yeah.
Yeah. Like a property like that here would be worth 25 mil.
Well, you like your country is huge, but only like 25% of it is habitable.
Yeah.
So you kind of get squished in. Like we have flyover country where you get large patches of just, well, not a lot of people, huge amounts of land you can get.
Where are you at, Erica? Are you in America? Erica, are you in America? Berries, right? Like, well, I don't know what city you're in, Berries, but I'm in Brizzy, and we're one of the cheaper metro cities. Like, if you go to, like, Sydney or Melbourne, you'd be paying a couple of mil to live a couple of kilometres out from town. Now, I don't, like, this is out more in the sticks, I think. So this is Cherokee County,
Yeah.
I think. But, I mean, wait till you see this house. Get ready.
They
Just
said it was
think about this. We know this case, and sometimes we have to slow
you're in
down
California,
because you
Eric.
don't know the places
You're in
where this
Melbourne,
occurred.
Bureau.
And the murder
Yeah.
occurred in this house. The shooting occurred in the house, in the kitchen, down to the basement. Now, as you look at this house, it's kind of unique in the sense that it's 2 or 3 car garage right here. But as you look at this photograph, you'll see the front. If you go to where that pine tree is, go right behind that pine tree. That's the front. This is looking, if you were kind of
Look
looking,
at it.
if the pond
so
was behind
pretty.
you, you're looking up at what I would call the front, but it's not. It's really the side. I think it's kind of like the east side. But it's got a deck there, and it's a circular deck. And under that deck was where Gary stayed. The basement or the ground level was Gary's domain. That house was the defendant's. She had everything she wanted. It's immaculate. She liked to live the lifestyle. Furs, coats, jewelry, nice paintings, nice furniture, things like that. That was her domain. She was a go-getter.
Hey, Rachel.
She was tough. She got after it. She cleaned. Almost OCD to the point that she cleaned. Her house was beautiful. Gary lived in the bottom. He had a
He lived in the
bedroom
bottom.
down there. He had a CPAP. He slept with that CPAP every night. We're going to talk about that. But he stayed down in the bottom. If you kind of walk out, you see where that, it starts on the right side, there's an oval where it juts out. Below that is 2 doors. You'll hear me talk about it. You probably hear me chuckle at some point. There's doors that slide open like this to where he would have his couch and his TV and things like that. I call them American doors because right to the right are French doors. Just how I remember. And you could walk
No one
out
likes the
that
French.
American doors, and when you come out there
They
and
don't like
turn
themselves.
left, that's where the burn pile is. This is over by the barn looking back towards the house. They had horses. This is nice property. This is the barn. This is where Scott stayed. Scott stayed on the top, basically being an employee of the
Scott
bed.
stayed in the barn.
Scott wanted the property, loved the property, liked the property, loved the horses. He was invested in it. He was thinking to move on one day and get another job, but he was locked in this property. And he and his mom worked. They may bicker and things like that, but they
That's a
worked
nice
hard.
barn.
They did a lot of work. And he lived in that barn there on the top. This is back to the house, transitioning back to the house.
Transitioning.
If you walk in that front door, this is what you see. Now, as you walk in, you're going to see evidence. If you walk in that front door, and I'm staring at the steps. If I'm staring at the steps and I turn right, you go to what I call the kitchen table. If you turn left, there's a bathroom. If you go straight, you're going to go down the hallway to the master bedroom.
This is like lifestyles
This
of the
is the
rich and
master bedroom.
famous.
That door right there, you can
that a-
walk out and go to the balcony.
Is that
And
a
that's where
devil's
that
trap on the
oval
stair?
porch was. You can stand out over that, look, you can look at the pond. Study room, library, very nice. Very fluent. This is the dining area, looking out
My
towards the
God.
pond, nice. This is the kitchen. This is the doorway from the kitchen to the basement. You go down the basement. To the left here, if you look at the picture, there's that light switch and whatnot, then there's that cabinet. Right around the corner is the steps you come down. It's 12 steps down, a landing, 4 steps down. You come down that landing, you stand right there. If you're standing off the steps, you get off the steps, you look straight forward, you're going to look at that bar. This is looking back from the, kind of to the side of the American
Gloria
doors,
Satterfield,
looking back
die
towards
here?
the bar. As you look at this picture, to the right is a hallway. You go down that hallway was Gary's office, where he'd hang out and do stuff, work. He liked to get up in the morning. Because he was a partner, because he'd been doing so long, because he had those routines, he would get up and go check email. To say that Gary Farris was a workaholic is an understatement.
Oh.
The man's like a lot of attorneys. Check the
Not me.
emails at night.
Not me, no, I don't do
vacation.
anything.
It doesn't matter. He's working, he's checking the email, he's busy. He has such patterns and routines you
Is that
can
George Zimmerman in the
set your
back?
clock by. So as you look here, you go to right, it's his office. To the left, if you go to the left, there's a hallway goes to his bedroom. Now you may want to write these dates down.
Oh, okay, ready? Mm.
In July of 2018, we're going to focus on 3 main dates. July 3rd, July 4th, and July 5th.
When I got my lifts.
You're going to hear us talk about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Y'all, when I do trials, I am not perfect. I'll mess up names and dates
will you?
and times, but this is what we're talking about. I'll catch myself and say, I didn't mean 2020, I meant 2018. What we want to do, again, this
Wait! Is he for real? He's saying it right there in the opening statements. He's going to mess up names and dates.
Yeah, I'm a shitty lawyer, guys. Just don't hold it against me. I make a lot of mistakes, a ton. I forget stuff. I'm really incompetent. But you know, it is what it is.
Look, I might have got the wrong killer.
I
But
could have, you know, could have
look-
been her kid after all. Who knows?
As long as someone pays,
Yeah.
really. That's what matters, right?
Glad,
We
you know,
get
Ye-
justice.
it's
Someone pays.
nice to see he has about as much confidence in his case as he does in his appearance and height.
Forgive me, jury. Just find her guilty,
Yes.
and we can all go home. I can get my Christmas bonus.
trial is not about being perfect. It's about the truth, to be authentic.
about the truth.
When we did jury selection, you heard me say to be authentic. These are the dates we're going to focus on. July 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And I just want to kind of give an overview of some of the evidence. This is not all the evidence. You're going to hear a lot of evidence, including evidence that we're not going to present. But this is Tuesday, July 3rd. We don't know exactly when Gary was killed, and we don't have to prove that. The evidence does not require us to prove you the exact time that Gary was shot and killed. But we have a very good idea. Tuesday night around 10 p.m. most likely. Last time he used that CPAP was Tuesday morning. A little after midnight, he got on it. He got up that morning and turned it off. And that machine, when they did a search warrant, shows the times. He's not going to bed without that CPAP. He never uses it again.
Never uses it
We have no
again.
reason to
Search
use it
warrant
again.
for a CPAP.
Now, on Tuesday around lunchtime,
He
Gary had an
connected to
interesting
Bluetooth.
relationship with his family. And they had some good times, but it was also different. I know about y'all, if I go to a restaurant and I see a friend or a family, I'm going to go up and say, hey, Tom, we're going to hang out, we're going to do stuff. Especially if it's my dad. Well, on Tuesday,
Papa.
Scott and the defendant were working, and they decided to go to lunch. They went to Cherokee Ranch restaurant, a local restaurant. While they were there, Gary was already there. He pays his bill and he leaves and doesn't say a word to him. And that's not uncommon. Because their relationship is not a touchy-feely type of relationship in this family. That's not this family. They communicate a lot by text messages, emails, instead of just calling and talking. That afternoon, Scott went to a lake house. He was there that afternoon and evening. There's a text asking about sleeping over for Aston, which is Chris's daughter, the grandchild. There's a text from her, from the defendant saying, what about tomorrow night?
Okay,
Not
this part
tonight.
here, right? Did you see that? She smiled, everybody.
Oh,
Look, she smiles. The
bitch.
defendant smiles.
Sees the burn pile's burning. I think it says something along, I see Dad burn the burn pile, or he's burning the burn pile, something like that.
Was that it? The smile? Bring
Wednesday
it back.
morning.
Bring it back.
Scott gets a debit card from his mom because he's going to go play golf. He has this thing on 4th of July that he would play golf. He and his buddies. You're going to hear about his buddies. Philip and Ted. That's just what he did. So about
Bill and
6:15,
Ted.
I think he goes to the door. I think he calls her or texts
No,
his
Bill and
mom,
Ted.
the defendant, says, needs the card. She comes out, gives him the card. He goes to the ATM real quickly, right down the road, gets some money, and comes back to go play golf. He's playing golf with his friends, Chris and family. They go to the Peachtree Road Race.
Did I get
Chris
back in
and
the right
Aston,
place?
they then go to the Cracker Barrel, I believe, that morning. Scott goes to the lake on a pool party. He's there in the afternoon and evening.
We need to see
The
the smile.
defendant actually leaves for Lake Lanier to go be with Amanda and Chad Brooks. And you're going to see and things here.
Narcissist.
You're going to see it's kind of this way. And Chad Bruce was the fiance, now husband to Amanda Bruce, was Amanda Farris.
I kid
And
you
they
not.
go there and hang out, and you're going to hear about that. And
Is
at
that
some
it?
point,
He's gonna smile. I kid you not. I was looking just for one video of the opening statements, and what did I find? Court TV had a video called "Defendant Smiles During Opening Statements by the State in Murder Trial of Her Husband." That was what it was called, right? It wasn't called opening statements. It was called Defendant Smiles, right? Legit. So I'm trying to find like the moment that she does this, like,
Yeah.
yeah? I haven't found it yet.
they come back from the lake. Chris drops Aston off at the house on Wednesday night because they want to see and hang out. Now these times may change, I may get them wrong, but you're going to hear the times as we go through. Wednesday night, July 4th, kids around 11 or 12. They come in, they live out of state, they come in, they want to see everybody, they want to see Big Daddy, they want to ride
wanna
some of the
see
stuff
Big Daddy.
on the property, they want to do things. It's 4th of July, and the defendant wants the kids to go to bed early.
Fourth of July, and she wants the kids to go to bed early.
July
Guilty.
3rd, Tuesday, 4th, Wednesday, 5th, Thursday. The defendant goes to Walmart, checks out around 9:30. Scott spoke with the defendant and Amanda about 11 o'clock that morning. Now she goes and gets some supplies and some things at Walmart. So here's 5th is where it breaks open. Scott has got a connection or connect for some golf balls. He's going to go to the PGA and get some golf clubs. He sees Amanda up at the house, so he's driving down his driveway from the barn to leave. And he sees Amanda, so he goes up and starts talking to him. And defendant is asking, have you seen your dad?
Your dad?
It's got to be sarcastic. And he can be hard on his mom. And he talks to her. And they kind of go back, and he says some things, kind of sarcastically. We talk about where's dad, things like that. And they start looking for him. Now, the defendant starts asking people, are you on the bank accounts or something like that? As in, maybe he's using the funds or the accounts to try to find where he's at.
Okay.
But his Mercedes is at the
You
house.
guys noticed, right? He's been using Canva and he doesn't have a photo of this person and this person. So it's just like an empty frame. You get the little like cloud and landscape graphic that happens when you're missing the photo of the person. It's like, dude, just like you could just put a circle so it doesn't look so lame. That looks very, very lame. Anyway, sorry, I'm a graphic designer and I don't like seeing things like that.
And they moved. Now, they would say Gary would kind of go away sometimes and just kind of disappear. Now, he was last seen on Tuesday night by someone other than the defendant. So Wednesday, Thursday. Now they're just starting asking, where's he at? They go around the property. At some point, the defendant's behind the burn pile, and she points out to Scott, gets his attention, brings him up there. Something about goats. Did you burn goats? Scott gets to that burn pile.
Goats.
He was in the military. He's proud he was in the military. He tries to take a leadership role when things break bad, and he finds his own father's remains. He calls 911. You're going to hear it.
Ooh.
During the time that's going on, a couple of weeks before this, while the cable guy or something was over at the house, Scott saw a .38 pistol. It was in a leather holster of some sort. And he thinks something's afoot.
What does he now?
Something's not right. He's suspicious of his mom. And you're going to hear how he is. And he starts talking about this missing gun. And people are like, what gun? What are you talking about? He starts talking about this missing gun that was downstairs in the basement. 38. Nobody knows anything about 38 or anything like that. But Scott has a suspicion that something's up. He actually says a statement to the effect of, did my mom finally do something? When he talks to a friend. Now, the defense is going to point at Scott. Or other people. But the evidence is going to show it's Melody. No one else. It's her. And what you have to do is follow the evidence. And what does the evidence say? What does it speak? What is the truth? It's not Scott.
It's not Scott. He says it's not Scott
Law
right from the
enforcement gets there,
beginning.
they start talking to people, and when they get there, what you're going to see is they get a call to someone in need emergency services. So they bring the big long back thing you carry people on like a stretcher. They bring all this defibrillator, things like that. They get there. They don't know. They think they're going to find a person back there who had a heart attack or some stroke or heat exhaustion or something, pass out. And they get back there and they find nothing but remains. Law enforcement still doesn't really know what's going on in the beginning. They think it was just an emergency. They don't think anything about crime. They start talking to people, and then they realize the conditions of the remains had to burn for a long time. The CSI people at the sheriff's office, they're like, all right, we have to call in an expert, forensic anthropologist, Dr. Gooden, comes in, and you're going to see what she does. They interview the defendant, they interview Scott, they ask him what's going on. And in the beginning, the defendant, she starts right off the bat talking about, well, Gary had these medical conditions. And then she says his family's got some mental issues. He was suicidal. And she starts laying that foundation of these other things. Any enemies? No. Would the kids do this? No. Anything else? No. Anything missing? No. No. She's laying the foundation. These are the pictures when law enforcement gets there. Dr. Gooding gets involved. They start marking it. And then things change. When they get the remains of Gary, we're stipulated these remains of Gary. He's actually identified dental records. He's burned up so bad. When they get there, they find in his rib a 38. They think it's a 38 in the beginning, but it's a 38 special bullet projectile. It's in his left ribs. It's front to back, interior to posterior. It's in his ribs. So now they think he's medical condition, but he's burned up too bad. Then when they're doing it, that's a bullet. Changes everything. There's no gun. We do not know where the gun is. We look for the gun. The missing gun is evidence of consciousness of guilt. Because if it was a suicide, the gun would be right there. If it's murder,
well, he was in a burn pile, wasn't he?
Burn the body.
Yeah.
Rid of the gun.
He didn't kill himself and then move his body to the
investigation.
burn pile.
Now, this family had problems. And they
No, and there was also a bullet found in his rib.
Yeah. That.
Yeah,
God, this guy is dumb.
it's a little bit that way. And also, like, he's talking about, like, Melody laying the foundations of these reasons why it wasn't her. But Scott was also laying the foundations,
Yeah.
right? So all these things that Scott was saying were laying foundations too. So why is Scott's sort of testimony, I suppose, when the law enforcement arrived, more credible than hers? I don't really get that. It doesn't make any sense. So anyway, it's really interesting to watch this now, like looking back, knowing that she's convinced after hearing all the things that were said throughout the trial that it was him, because she in the sentencing, in her monologue, she was sort of making out that she didn't really know what happened until she heard everything that happened at trial, and now she knows that it was Scott. So I think that she wasn't sure going into trial. Like, she thought it was one of the sons, but she wasn't sure. But now she knows, right? So it's kind of like, I'm interested to see, like, looking in retrospect now, what it was that added up for her, to make her think it was Scott. I'm not saying it definitely was Scott, but what's kind of come out along the way.
had disagreements. You're going to hear about dishes being broken. There's several instances of dishes being broken. One time, when she's talking about dishes, you're going to hear the defendant talking about, I had some dishes on top of the car and they fell off onto the ground and broke.
I'm
Scott's
interested
going to
in
talk
that
about an
too.
incident where his mom said some very terrible things about his dad, wishing terrible things upon him when she broke some dishes because she was mad when she went down to the basement where he lived and got the dishes. He spilled Mountain Dew or something like that.
Oh,
the
that
man
dick.
loved Mountain Dew. Loved it. Cigarettes and Mountain Dew. She got so mad that she broke the dishes. Slammed them. Found it in his trash can. A set of dishes. When she's talking, the defendant is kind of all things to all people. That's what the evidence is going to show you. It's going to pivot. It's going to pivot. You're going to hear about two people in this case that pivot. She pivots. She's talking, she's smart, she knows what's going on, they're asking questions. She says, at one point, you know, their marriage is not good. They live in the same household, but they're not living really as husband and wife. There are some good times, they try to do some stuff. They're living in separate rooms, separate floors.
So?
At one point, she comes across and they ask, like, you know, you've been married to him for 38 years, and, you know, if it's that bad, you'll hear about how she describes the marriage and things. You know, why'd you stay with him? I took a vow to him. I took a vow. The evidence is going to show in this case that the defendant is loyal to two people. Very loyal. She's loyal to him.
You can have him.
There's something called prior difficulties. About 10 years before the murder, the defendant had an affair. We believe a guy named Ted Wiley. Ted was in a relationship with Gary's sister. They met, they hung out, and they started doing stuff, and the family knew what was going on. They separated, we believe because of this. Gary considered divorce, didn't do it. They reconciled, but they lost trust. And this is where things change. The whole relationship changed because of this. Now, Gary worked with a lady, probably had something, a fling or something with her, not to the same degree years ago. So they both had their issues. But the degree and the extent and the blatantness of this changed everything. And Gary started controlling finances. Her mindset was, to law enforcement, I took a vow to him. But you're going to hear evidence in a text message between her and another guy that would shrink the world and rule out.
Oh, shrink
a guy
the world.
A neighbor that met her when she would walk. She would walk all the time. She's tough. In a text message, when she was upset with Gary, we believe, she's talking about, she said, my response to his fit he threw was, I hope you die alone in a gruesome death. She's asked by law enforcement, she didn't say anything about hoping he died or anything like that. Terry responds and says, there you go, he's going to push you over the edge. I know, and that scares me. Told him finally to go, where can I even see or hear him? It would be in his best interest. You're going to see some text messages, things in this. She portrays this pittance. But an ever constant in their marriage, intention, an ever constant tension is money. She did not like that Gary uses money the way he did.
This is
It's referred to
argumentative.
sometimes by people as the Ferris wheel because there was drama. There was definitely
God.
drama.
They
Chris
were
had his
drama
issues.
llamas.
Melody didn't really like Chris. Chris would use checking account numbers and credit card numbers and things like that. And he had paid for, coming up to this point, he had paid for a beach vacation. I think we're in a condo or something like that. And Melody was furious. She did not like that Gary was just going to go with him. And Gary basically would, he'd say stuff, but he'd write the check or he'd say, okay. He wouldn't really do anything. It's his kids, his sons. He could afford it.
Oh my god, hang on, wait. Look at
She
this,
said-
look at this dude in the background. See this dude here?
Yeah, the George
Right?
Zimmerman look-alike.
He's eating something and trying to not show it.
Oh,
Watch.
Things like, this is the last straw. I've had it.
Hang
I'm
on,
taking
wait,
measures.
we go back.
He wouldn't
Look,
really do it.
look.
It's his kids, his sons. He could afford
wait,
it.
go back again. 10 seconds.
Look, he's still doing it.
She say things he'd say stuff, but he'd
Watch it,
write
watch.
the check or he'd say, okay.
Right?
He wouldn't really do it. It's his kids, his sons. He could afford it. She say things like, this is the last straw. I've had it, I'm taking measures. It shows that her mindset is this money, this money, this money. And that leads to this. Bullet in his ribs. They go in the house and look at the house. These are steps going down to the basement. There's blood. There's going to be evidence of blood and cleanup in the kitchen.
Just a little
Or domain.
snack.
Down the
Don't
steps.
say little
When you get
around the
off those
prosecutor.
steps, if you take off those steps, you can see it. Scott saw some blood on the floor down there. Law enforcement saw it. They go back and spray Blue Star. This chemical stuff that lights up, and you'll see it. You see those 4, 3, 2, 1 placards there? It's a trail of blood.
Ooh.
I've circled this so you can see.
Jeez.
Down there is a sofa. There's a ottoman, I believe is the term. And as you get closer, law enforcement found another bullet.
Ooh.
We do not know how many times Gary was shot. We know he was shot and killed. We know there are at least 2. The blood trail from the kitchen, up there, we believe the evidence is they had an argument. She shot him. He goes downstairs, trying to get away. She shoots him again. Whether he was able on his own to get out those doors, or she got him out herself. Topped and bottom. No home invasion, no robbery, nothing. And that brings us to what we call means, motive, and opportunity. How do you get away with a murder if there's no confession?
Who's this dude?
How do you get
I
away with a
recognize
murder? There's no
him.
video of it.
Who?
How do you get away with a murder if you try to
Can you see my
burn and
mouse?
destroy all the
There.
evidence?
I don't know. He
You
looks.
don't. When you use your common sense,
Sure he's
and
on
all the
TV.
evidence put it together to
Probably
shrink the
court
world,
TV.
and the only
Long
run.
reasonable answer is she did it. For example, if they say Scott did it, Scott's not going to shoot us dead when he's paying all the bills. It's a great train.
A good point,
Let's
half
just see what
Irish.
Let's first talk about opportunity. The reason why you shrank the world down, and you will see at the times of this case, when he was killed and when his body was moved, when things are going on, the only person that's going to be at that house, the only person is her. No one else. Just her. Sure, people were coming and going, not when things were going on.
Short people.
The other thing you consider is sometimes in the case was strong evidence is deception, mendacity. When you see that, she's cloaked in lies. And you'll see it through the trial. The evidence will show that. Here's the thing she says about fires. The context, common sense, the circumstantial evidence. Gary liked to set things on fire. He liked to burn stuff. Think about 2008, they had another house, Alpharetta, that they moved from to the farm. He set, I think, the backwoods on fire or something like. Caught on fire. She hated that with understandable concern. It's dangerous. People are scared of fires. I get it. She's concerned about that. And then in the same house before this murder in 2016, I believe, he set the house on fire from the basement up, smoking cigarettes in the trash can left in there, and they caught the house on fire. She went after him. She is strong-willed. She has a backbone. She's tough-minded. And she would tell him how she felt. She told investigators things like this. I tried to put together some of the things you'll hear. She had gotten so scared of fire after that. She had been just scared of the fire. She was scared to death. She figured Gary would burn her house down. They just didn't leave him here much alone because he would, I think she said, break a steel trap or something like that. She told Gary, don't leave the fire. She told Gary, please don't leave the fire. She told Gary, when discussing dinner, they cannot go off and leave that fire. She told
Don't
Gary,
leave the fire.
you got to watch the fire. She said
Watch
there's no
the
reason with
fire.
him. He's a lawyer. He was going to burn it or die trying. slip of tongue, but that's what she said. That was the opportunity. It's going to be her. Means. Means is how could you have done it? Because the question you're going to have in your mind that's going to boil down to this case is how did that little lady get that big man on the burn pile?
Yes, that's my question.
She's a cowgirl, farm girl. Her daddy owned a hardware store growing up. She's been around it. She had ropes, leads,
What?
straps, tow lines.
What?
Did I mention they had a tractor? Means.
But where would? Okay, what?
Necessity is the mother of all inventions.
What?
Where's all the
You just
drag
remember-
marks bringing him out of the house?
Or she used rope and like a pulley system, so she would have had to have
They also said they had-
screws
said they had an
in the
RTV.
ceiling. Any of those?
She knew how to drive a boat.
But she would have had to get him up the
Wednesday morning.
stairs, right?
Scott leaves to go play golf about 7 o'clock that morning. She doesn't leave, go to the lake till around
I'm just
1,
saying.
12 something. No one's in the house. She comes back at night to tell the kids.
Look, I don't know what the rest of the
Look at that.
evidence is. I'm just saying that's sus.
Motive. In my business, there's nothing new under the sun. You don't have to be smart to be an
Oh,
attorney.
hang on.
You have
No,
to have
you
common sense.
don't.
When it comes to motive, the question you're going to have is, one is how does
You know what? That needs to be a sound drop.
Yes.
You don't have to be smart to be an attorney.
Yes. Well, that's why David's an attorney.
Yeah, every time David comes on, we just need to drop that one. Yeah. Okay, now, I believe, but before we get to the thing with the stairs, I'm pretty sure that downstairs area opens out onto the yard. So I don't think that she would have had to get the body up the stairs. So no, I think it opens out onto the greenery. So
But didn't they show?
they're French doors out of the basement. Yeah, I think they
What
said
the
they
hell
were
are
French doors. French doors, they open out that way.
Okay, but weren't there stairs?
Yeah, stairs to get down from the main part of the house
Okay.
that we just saw, right?
But I thought they had
But
like blood from that point.
maybe he was shot further up and then he fell down the stairs.
Okay.
I don't know, like this is stupid. Like they're saying firstly that he was shot downstairs, but yet there was blood on the stairs, so I don't know. But that's why I don't think it happened in the house. Okay, it didn't happen in the house, so why is there any evidence in the house at all? That didn't make any, like, I think something must have happened in the house, because otherwise why is there anything there? Yeah, why is there blood on the stairs? I don't know.
I mean,
but-
she could theoretically drag him out. I mean, it would be very difficult because he's a big guy and dead weight is not easy to move. But if you have a day or two, yeah, you could get him on like some cardboard or whatever.
Johnny, yeah, accidentally tracked blood coming back in. Yeah, okay. That could
okay.
be it. That could be it. But still, none of this stuff that he's putting forth with the pulleys and the
Yeah.
tractor and all that garbage really is. And, okay, it doesn't make sense. And also, from what I've heard from even that juror who was speaking to Julie Grant and from other people who've watched the entire thing, that seems to be the theory, right? Oh, yeah, she had pulleys and she had the ability with ropes and stuff like that. It's like, she could have done it like that. Or she could have rolled him down the hill. It's like, what? Are you for real? Like, they didn't offer anything more than that? Okay. So, I'm a bit surprised that there wasn't anything more. And the other thing that gets me about it is when she was at the sentencing, she said, I wish they had I don't know why they didn't have more Blue Star. If they had more Blue Star, they would have seen more evidence. They ran out
Yeah.
of Blue Star.
That was weird.
That's interesting. So anyway, let's keep going.
Get him out there. That's answer. They're just going to answer that. Why did she do this? Why would a wife even for a husband that she doesn't like, he has money. Well, she'd inherit intestate succession. She'd get stuff under Georgia law. Even if he died of an accident, she'd probably get more money. Motive. Let me introduce you to a person called Rusty. Law enforcement trying to figure out what's going on. They're at the house, they get consent, things like that. They search a purse and they find, you know, the things you think you find in a purse, but they find this bank card, credit card, debit card, whatever it is, this financial card. And they find the name Roy Barton on it. And so they're asking, hey, who's Roy Barton? Well, she says, my cousin, Martha Jane, was married to Roy Barton years ago. In fact, in 2014, that's when this kind of starts off. But she doesn't mention Rusty. She's playing it off as Roy Barton Sr. And he's died. And I just had that, forgot it was there, something along those lines. The Rusty Barton, though, the Rusty Barton, is not senior, it's junior. And he's a character. He's reluctant. He's talking about the evidence going to show he's going to change. You're going to be introduced to Rusty Barton, who's from Tennessee, and we're going to bring him in. I do not know what he will say on that stand. I know what he said in the past, and he's flip-flopped. That's what it's going to show. But you're going to be able to use the law, which is called prior inconsistent statements. You're going to be able to judge when he said this,
Rusty.
and when he says this, and when he says this, what do you believe? A little background on Rusty. He knew them since teenagers. I think he knew her when she was 15.
Cool.
Martha Jane, which is her second cousin, but more like a mother figure. She loves Martha Jane. Martha Jane's a good woman, a godly woman. Martha Jane loves the defendant. They were married to Rusty's father. So Martha Jane, Roy Sr. were married. Rusty and the defendant became romantic in about 2014. She was up there helping her, Martha Jane. I think she had open heart surgery. In fact, Rusty actually took Martha Jane to Emily's wedding.
Who's Martha
Oh,
Jane?
close
Sorry, I
person.
missed that.
The affair was going on for about 4 years, 2014, 2018. Inactive. Gary knew about it. There's an email he received that put him on notice about from Rusty's girlfriend. You're going to hear him ask questions about Rusty talking to her, telling her, don't do that. Rusty did internet searches about the wedding rings when law enforcement was talking to him. They would rendezvous in Dalton, which is about halfway for Tullahoma, Tennessee, now Alpharetta. Almost halfway exactly. Exit 333. They meet up there. In the beginning it was monthly, several weeks ago, and then it became weekly. She would just disappear. The family knew what was going on. They had suspicions, but they didn't realize who Rusty was until this broke. They kind of have a 6-month plan. Rusty believed, based on what the defendant was telling him, according to Rusty, that Gary had some esophagus cancer or something, bleeding, something going on, so he was sick and he was going to die. And they kind of had this plan after Gary passed away. Naturally, they would, for 6 months, lay low, and then they would come back and get together. They were in love. They talked like junior high kids in love for the first time.
Aww.
They had a regular
Like Hella and me when we started streaming.
Law enforcement interviewed Rusty on certain occasions. There's these days where Rusty was interviewed and it basically goes from, I don't know anything, and then they press it. We told you in a trial like this, it can be a contact sport. The attorneys can get after it, we can get after it, I can get after it, and they get after it with Rusty. I'll be professional. But they did the good cop, bad cop with Rusty because he didn't want to give up on Melody. And you're going to hear how they talk to him about this is a death penalty case. You can be arrested for this. You can be what side you want to be on in the courtroom. All techniques law enforcement use to have someone talk. He talks to them. And they use him in the sense of they would get information from him, and then he was willing to cooperate and record some calls and some things like that. But look at this pattern here. He talked for some time, and in June of 2019, he recants something he told law enforcement in July 2018. And y'all familiar with the first 48 hours? In law enforcement, in this business, you get to someone as quickly as they can because if there's time, they will change. Feelings change. And in the beginning, he says one thing, and then he gets up more and more. It's like pulling teeth. You finally get it out. But he recants. And this is what he recants. The evidence in the case is going to show that when you shrink the world to the only person that had the motive was her, the only person that was home when this occurred, Tuesday evening, going in from Tuesday the 3rd to Wednesday the 4th, about 2 o'clock in the morning, law enforcement talks to Rusty and says, all right, what did she say? And he describes it as the last minute, last conversation. This is what he tells law enforcement. She said, Gary's in the burn pile. No. She said, he is in the burn pile.
My
And I said, what?
no
And
voice.
she said, he is in the burn pile. I said, do not say another word and do not tell me anything. I do not need to know that. This is what, before The murder's known. Anything like that, he's on the phone. The record's going to
say
show that
something?
he had 3 or 4 main phone calls during this time. It's going to show that his pattern when he would talk to her was abnormal for this time. There's a phone call. He says, I talked to her. And this is what she said. He's in the burn pile. This would have been July 4th. Now he comes back a year later and recants. Well, his presence and companionship is with the
I'll be
defendant.
fine,
Law enforcement
thanks.
gets arrest warrants, goes up to Tullahoma, Tennessee to arrest her. And guess who she's with? Russell. Thank you. After she's arrested, she's in jail before she bonds out. There's actually jail calls. And you're going to hear some of those. And we told you there's going to be calls and things like that. And you're going to have to be patient with us. It's going to be a lot of information. It's just a piece of this puzzle. But at the end of the day, it's going to show the defendant. So his past, being arrested, he recants the law enforcement. No, I didn't say, she didn't say that. I was pressured. I was under duress. I was taking sleeping pills. I was under alcohol. And then she's talking to him on a phone call. This is just a part. Now, you're going to hear the whole thing later on. But this is what we call consciousness of guilt. The evidence is going to show that she says this, and this is not what an innocent person would say to her lover.
What'd you say, manlet?
Sure. No. Well, like a long time ago, I just stopped talking.
Right.
I haven't done anything.
I know that, Norman.
But because other, what you keep talking about, you're going to single-handedly hang me.
You really suck.
Speak the truth.
I fixed it.
This is what the charges. Malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, concealing death, and other, making false statements. We are here because Gary cannot be here. And the only reason we're here is by her hand. Malice murder is the unlawful killing of somebody with
We are
malice
here
or
'cause
forethought.
you can't be here.
It doesn't mean someone's wicked in that sense, or malice in the sense that it's hatred or things like that. It is the unlawful intent to kill. And the judge is going to charge on that. One shot,
Sorry,
we
guys,
felony
summer
murder
I
for
have to
fighting,
turn
and
it
she
down.
just reacts.
That's fine.
2 shots and burning. It's depraved. Felony murder, the evidence is going to show that even if she didn't intend
you
to,
pause
with
it real
malice,
quick?
to kill him, the intent to kill, that she had that gun in it, just went off.
Can we just point out that this prosecutor is standing probably 20 feet away from the defense attorney? And he is just barely taller than him?
Well, I mean, there is like an optical illusion of space going on as
No,
well.
I
but
understand.
I would like to see him next to the defendant because the defendant is tiny.
No, I'm just saying it takes 20 feet for him to appear tall to another man. And the curvature of the earth. Okay, anyone who says the earth is flat, explain this photo.
He is pretty short. He's pretty short, Daniel D. Yeah, he's a short man. He's a very small man.
Because they shrink the world, yeah.
He keeps talking about shrinking the world. This guy wishes everything was smaller so he could reach it. He's been going through life wishing everything was smaller.
Do you know, I don't know if you guys knew this, but his grandfather was actually in The Wizard of Oz. The lollipop guild, the lollipop guild.
Continues to say shrink the world. Like, what? Who says that? Who says that? A very short man with a problem.
Let's just be happy he doesn't have lifts.
Yeah, he might have lifts.
Oh,
This
God.
might be him with lifts. All right, let's keep going.
Not the case because she shot him twice. That's still felony murder. It's not the intent to kill. It's the intent to do the underlying felony, which is aggravated
It was in
assault.
Willy Wonka.
Pointing the gun at someone and shooting them.
I think he was in Game
And
of
they died.
Thrones as well.
Even if you didn't mean for them to die, it's still felony murder. There's no malice involved. There's no intent to kill. Ag assault is just the shooting. concealing death of another. The law is designed to prevent certain conduct, and the case that you have before you shows what it's designed to prevent. Not only was Gary Farris murdered, and he has friends and family that watch this, that are here, but they were deprived of him.
Where the microphone is, it's like up, it's up on his forehead.
Oh, I know.
False statements cost you life in law enforcement about Rusty.
Verdict.
Forget about all this out here. My job, representing the district attorney, is to present this case to you without fear, favor, or affection. Your job, under your oath, is to speak the truth. I talked to you about veritas. You see the word verdict.
Veritas.
It's truth, speak. It's the word veritas with dit in Latin, to speak. When you're done with this case, take all the time you need. Forgive me when I bumble through things, when I get sideways, when I'm doing my job. But remember, I am representing a voice that has been snuffed out and taken away. And Megan Francis and I are going to present you with the evidence. And there's two sides to the truth. That is, where you see the deceit and the lies in this case, that points to who did it. When you see the opportunity, the means, and the motive, money, sex, new life, the truth.
All the things
As
I'll
sad as
never
it
have.
is, as hard as it is that the defendant
He's taller than me.
murdered and desecrated her own husband.
A man
love
who was
making fun of
over,
prosecutors.
a man who was over 6 feet tall. What a
Yeah.
waste.
Would this be a good time for a break?
Thank you, Peter
I'm gonna
Dinklage.
let y'all go and then we'll break after that. Reset. Anybody need a break? All right. I got one taker. All right. We'll go ahead and take a break. It'll be, if one of you are going to, then all the dominoes will fall, so it'll be 10 minutes. So we'll go ahead and take a break. That's fine. All right.
Yeah,
We
mate.
started it.
Let's go take a smoko. Rightio, mate. Everybody out. Is she gonna smile? Give us a smile, love. Oh, what did she just take out of her mouth?
Well, she has a pearl necklace already.
Was that her teeth? Could have been her teeth. Okay. Now, okay, there was a big drama about how she didn't rise for the jury, generally. Some sort of looking frail thing wanted to look frail or something. So
So, like Michael
yeah.
Turney?
Apparently, yeah, but he was in a wheelchair, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this lawyer is Elf 2.0 from the Jodi Arias case. Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Oh God, we're gonna have to. Oh,
I love making fun of prosecutors. It's so much fun.
I know. Like,
They so deserve it.
if it was a defense attorney being short, I wouldn't probably make fun of. I'd still make fun of him, just not as much.
Yeah, not as much.
I just love making fun of prosecutors.
Especially considering he was just like, forgive me for getting names and dates wrong.
Yeah, a couple
Like,
times he was
that's
like, yeah.
kind of important. Okay, here we go.
Smoker should go take a break.
He's probably gonna get the defendant wrong.
Yeah, smokers, you want to go out to the burn pile out there? Yeah, this judge thinks he's a bit funny.
Yeah.
He thinks he's a bit funny. And around when the jury had been deliberating for a couple of days, because they were deliberating for a while, he thought it was funny to, break the tension with some jokes.
Really?
Melody, did not find that amusing, strangely enough.
I guess it's normal. I just don't get why people joke around in like murder trials.
But don't you? Yeah, we wouldn't do that.
Well, I mean, in the courtroom, like with the defendant right there, you're cracking jokes as a judge.
Yeah, like she's right there. This is her life.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just so JC the Music Man says, in the Holderson trial, A neighbor said they smelled a roast going. I wonder if anyone could smell her husband roasting. Yes, I remember that. In fact, we played the trial here on this channel, and they smelled pork.
Of course they did.
I remember it smelled like pork. Yeah,
Long
the pork
pork.
roast. Long pork. Yep, I remember because humans smell like pork. Apparently,
We do. Yeah.
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 Pork
They were
roast.
they were doing a slow cook of the Bart roast.
Yeah, the button roast. Yeah, rack of dad.
Yeah.
Yep, indeed.
That trial never
Look,
gets old.
once the burn testimony starts to come in, we're gonna have to have a little bit of a barbecue joke fest
Oh
for
God.
sure. I wonder if she
Oh,
make
JC is gonna
kebabs.
fit. JC is just gonna fit right into this channel.
JC is gonna fit right in. Rack
Go
of
ahead.
dad. Yep.
Mr. Weaver, as y'all recall, he did word die, so I didn't get to talk to you too much. We kind of broke it up. He got
No,
stuck
we
with
takes
that
like
task, in lieu of me doing opening statements. So my name is Michael Ray. Along with John Luke Weaver, we're representing Mr. Farris. Thank y'all for your service.
y'all.
I know that a 3 or 4, excuse me, a 3 or 4 week long trial is not how you anticipated spending
Pause.
your beginning of fall.
Look, dude. Go ahead and tell them you could be your luck could be a lot worse. And you could be doing a YSL trial in Georgia.
That's
But no,
true.
you're just going to have to spend 3 weeks with us instead of the next year of your life. Okay?
Absolutely. At least
glass
you're not in
half full.
Fulton County. It could be worse. It could be much, much worse. This is and this is even interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, we'll give you breaks and stuff. It'll be fun. Let's have fun, guys.
So we do appreciate that, and we have worked quite diligently. I've had this case for 6 years now, of trying to whittle it down to what is the most important pieces of evidence to show to you and to present to you, so that you can make a decision in this case. So I don't think we're going to go beyond 4 weeks. It could get done as early as 3, but it might go into 4. But we're definitely going to try to get it moving as quickly as possible. For your jury service, Abraham Lincoln said that one of the greatest services of a citizenship is jury.
Jesus.
And I think that's very true. It's the equivalent, in my opinion, of voting. Because without you, 16 people we have.
It'd be
or
good
if
if
it
people
was in
took it
state court, the 6
seriously.
people we would have. Without you, we couldn't do this. We couldn't do our job. Justice couldn't be done. Justice couldn't be done for Melody without you. So thank you for serving. When you act as a juror, or when you're sitting as a juror, in this particular case, and in all cases, you're essentially the conscience of the community. Because you're going to hear this evidence, then you're going to apply it to the law that the judge is going to give you, and you're going to render a decision. Because if you recall, when Judge Cannon was going over the oath with you that he read to you last thing, I know you've taken a lot of oaths. You took one downstairs when there was 120 of you, and then you took another one when you came in your jury bail, and then you came in with the 16 of you and you took another oath. But in that oath that you took an oath to give a truth verdict according to the evidence. And that's what we're asking you to do. And you heard the judge say that it's your duty to render a truth verdict based on the evidence. And that's exactly what we'll be asking you to do. Now, Mr. Focus, he did a good job in his opening statement. So some of the things are duplicated.
don't compliment it,
Obviously,
sir.
when he came in, he didn't know what I was going to say. And when I came in, I didn't know what he was going to say.
Oh,
but I don't want to
wait,
sit there
wait,
and
wait, let him
regurgitate
go.
the same things. But we also, we got to talk about a few things. That one being the indictment. Ms. Ruddick did a great job going through explaining it.
I remember.
You did a
So
great
just
job.
Kind of to recap what Ms. Ferris is charged with. 1, malice murder. That is essentially, to keep it simple, and we'll go over it much deeper at the end when the judge actually gives you the charge. I mean, we get to argue. What malice murder is, somebody's alive, and I don't want them alive. And they're dead. That's malice murder. Felony murder, I commit a felony act, and it causes that person's death. Like trying to rob somebody, accidentally shoot them, felony murder. That's what it is. In this case, the felony is the aggravated assault. The state alleges that Ms. Ferris shot her husband, Gary Ferris. And that was an aggravated assault. And as a result of that assault, he died. So that's how felony,
He died.
murder, and aggravated assault are linked together.
He did.
Concealing the death of another, it's pretty obvious. There's a little more depth to it when you actually look at the actual elements of the offense, but
pretty
you
obvious.
can imagine what that is. Somebody's
give a
passed
body.
away, and you have concealed it. Making false statements, that's lying to the police. We always say defense attorneys police can lie to you.
He did.
You cannot lie to the police. It's actually a crime. So,
You're kidding.
This case, and you've heard a little bit of it from Mr. Fogus, but you've probably seen on your crime show, because I know from Bordeaux, a lot of you watch the podcast, the crime shows, the true crime and all that.
Really?
You always see defense attorneys talking a lot of time about there's been a rush to judgment in this case.
Excited
rush to
utterance
prosecute
channel?
the first person that you can get your hands on. But that wasn't this case. Melody was under investigation on this case.
I think that jurors should be struck if they watch true crime.
Yeah.
I really think they should be struck because most of them think everyone's a narcissist and that everyone's guilty,
Yeah.
right? They should check which true crime channels they watch.
That is the big thing. Okay, you follow trials. Okay.
Which ones and what on what channel?
Yeah, there's a big difference between, core TV watching and true or
Like if you watch lawyers, do you watch lawyers? Which ones? Do you watch actual
Yes.
defense lawyers or do you watch like lawyers?
yeah.
Right? Like, do you watch just
Nancy
everyday
Grace.
Joes who have Nancy Grace? Do you watch Nancy Grace? If you watch Nancy Grace, you're struck.
Yeah. For
You
cause.
should get struck. If you I follow,
Don't
if you follow
even
Nancy
waste
Grace,
Yeah,
strike.
don't even
Yeah.
waste Pramp challenge.
Yeah, 100%. You should just be gone.
Yeah.
Like, totally. JLR, like if you watch JLR investigate, that dude, gone. Struck. Done.
Well,
100%.
depends when we stopped watching him.
It depends what year.
2023 borderline.
Circa what year?
2024 unless
Brackets, he was
it's about a
100%
polycule.
struck. Yeah. I only watched Coffin Duffer in Lifetime. Struck.
For over almost a year between the 911 call that you're going to hear shortly and her arrest on June 18th of 2019. So there wasn't a rush to judgment, but what we had in this case was different. It was called confirmation bias. And we'll talk more about this in close, but what a confirmation bias is you got a belief and you've got facts. And that belief and those facts merge together. And that's what you believe. Even though you have all of these other facts over here, you just ignore those facts.
This is
because
good.
that's not in your belief. And that's not in the facts that you want to look at. And that is a confirmation bias. You're going to see from the evidence in this case, from day one, the investigation by Detective Hayes and all the other officers in Cherokee County Sheriff's Office, even the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the GBI, everything that was done in this case was tailored specifically to attempt to convict Melody of the death of Gary Farris.
Huh.
One big thing you're going to hear, and you're going to hear it a lot, is Scott Farris. You are going to hear the 911 call here shortly. That's the first thing we're going to do. I'm going to play you the 911 call. 13 minutes after law enforcement arrives, Scott Farris is already blaming his mother. He knows nothing. They're not even sure if there is a body on the burn pile. They're not even sure it's Gary. He's already planting the seeds of blaming his mother. 13 minutes. And law enforcement took that into their beliefs. And then they focused their evidence on that. And that is confirmation bias. Now, you heard Mr. Fogus talk about the Ferris wheel, and I'll talk about it too. But this was a turbulent family. The best is, and we'll go through, I have a family tree to go over with you that kind of lays everybody out. But one of them, his name's Chad
I wonder if
Bruce.
he
He's now
knew the
married
prosecutor
to
was
Amanda.
going to bring that
And
up.
Chad Bruce, when he was interviewed,
If he had
said
said that
always
in
called it the Ferris wheel.
He
It's
said
like
that
a soap opera.
pre-trial, I
Something
bet.
is always going on with
Probably. Yeah,
he
for
was
sure.
so proud of that line that he just brought
Yep.
it up and up and up. So the
Yep.
defense attorney just knew he was going to be like, oh, he's going to do a Ferris wheel.
he's going to say Ferris wheel.
Fuck
He's going to say
him.
Ferris wheel. Yeah. I've got my picture ready in Canva. It's ready to go. Boom.
Just to be a dick.
It would have been better if it was animated, hey?
I know.
Like, if it was actually like...
Oh, I know. God. Well, he needs you to do it.
Just go to the video section rather than the pictures.
I know.
really
It's so simple.
I know.
It really
these
is.
These people just need a little training.
They really do.
Yeah.
Chris, Scott, and Emily.
Better than the
And it's
burnout.
true, all the time, all the time.
Closing.
And I'll talk a little bit more about it. But you're going to see text messages. Gary mad that they're blowing money. Chris can't survive on his own, always needing money. Scott, grown man, can't survive on his own, always needing money. Coming to get mama's credit card so he can go get some money out. Emily with her turmoil with her new husband and all that. In fact, you're also going to hear that Gary and Melody had to buy Emily and her husband the house up in Tennessee where they live. There was a lot of turmoil in this family. But jumping on the Ferris wheel, first off, who is Melody? Melody was born in 1960. And she was born in Smyrna,
Okay.
Tennessee.
I think I
And she had
need.
a
Sorry,
somewhat unusual
I'm sorry to keep
upbringing,
interrupting,
especially for
but
that
I'm
one.
pretty sure that I'm gonna need a Ferris wheel, and we're gonna need to start putting people on it for super chats
Yes.
or gifted memberships. I think
Yes.
this is a grift I need to get onto.
Yes.
Yeah, I need a Ferris wheel.
She's
Alright,
so much
cool.
better at grifting than me.
Look, I'm no Nick. Starro.
Oh. Starro,
No,
okay.
Starro. Sorry, I meant
Hopefully
Nick.
not Ricada.
I really don't know Nick Ricada. Like, he's not someone I've ever really hung out with. But Nick Starro, I know very well, and he's very good at it. He has his wheel of regrets, and he has his memberships are just overflowing and stuff like that. I need to be more like him, but I don't drink. Just don't. So
And I can't monetize my alcoholism.
I'd rather you didn't. I think it's best not. You're trying to give up.
I am.
You are.
You know, I
actually
have,
are.
I have self-reflection.
You do. Good for you. Good for you. But yeah, Ferris wheel.
Melody was very little, and they moved from Smyrna and moved to Tullahoma. You already heard a little bit about Tullahoma. It's actually where Melody was arrested. That's where Martha Jane lives. That's where Rusty lives. And I'll talk a little bit more about all those people. They moved to Tullahoma, and Melody and her mother, Kay, lived with Melody's grandparents. And that went on for a few years, and eventually Kay Walker met a man named Carl Walker, and they got married. And then they continued, once they were married, they bounced around a little bit. They went from Tullahoma to Nashville, Nashville to Florence, Florence back to Nashville, just kind of bouncing around this North Alabama, central Tennessee and back down area, just moving around. Then when Melody was a teenager, they finally settled in Florence, Alabama. It's in the north. You've probably heard of Muscle Shoals. It's right there. And that's where eventually Melody started going to high school, was in that area. And so now you're like in the mid-70s, and that's actually when Melody meets Gary Farris. They met when they were 16 years old. They didn't go to the same high school. They actually met through mutual friends at the same church, and they began dating. And they dated through high school. And then in 1970, they got married. So at 1960, I think it was 79, they got married.
Don't get your dates wrong.
No, but they get married, right out of high school, and they both go to the University of North Alabama. Melody's there for about a year, and then she drops out. Gary stays on. So Melody leaves, they're still together, they're still married, and she's working at General Electric Credit and Ace Hardware. Her, Kay Walker, her mother, Carl Walker, opened up a Ace Hardware in Florence, Alabama, and that's where Melody worked. And you'll hear a lot about Ace Hardware. She worked there for many, many, many years, helping them out with their business. So in 1980, while Gary's still in school, Chris Farris is born. Now Melody is working full-time at this point at the hardware store. Gary's full-time college student. 1983 rolls around, Scott Farris is born. Melody's still working at the hardware store. Gary's still going to school. Now you fast forward a little bit, Gary's graduated, and in 1988, they have Emily. And at this point, they've moved to Tuscaloosa to the University of Alabama, and that's where Gary goes to law school. So they're living there with the three kids while Gary's in law school. And then in 1989, Amanda Farris, who's now Amanda Bruce, she's born. Excuse me. In 1989, the following year, Gary graduates law school, and the family moves to Birmingham, where he works for Burr and Foreman, the same firm that he was at when he passed away. Now, in 1995, the law firm sent Gary to Atlanta. They were trying to expand, have a different office in Atlanta, and Gary was going to be a major part of that. And I think when he actually first got there in 95, there was no, there's only him and another person.
He started
Wasn't, you know,
defending
this huge law
someone
firm
in the
with years
YSL
of
trial
at that point in time.
in
So now you got
1995.
4 kids, you know, really ranging from kindergarten to Chris at that point in time being about 15 years old. Melody's a stay-at-home mom. She's going back and forth to Florence to help her parents with a hardware store and just living. And an interesting point then comes later in 1997 to Melody is Carl Walker, or who she thought was her father, passed away. And while she was at the funeral, a relative came up to her and told her that, you know, just so you know, Carl Walker's not your father.
What?
And so then that leads on to her trying to figure out who her actual father is. And she does. But Carl raised her. It's just an odd thing, you know, to kind of come out of the blue.
Who the fuck comes up to somebody at a funeral and is like, hey, come here, hey, look at me. Girl talk here.
Yeah.
Your dad that just died
In the
is
coffin
not
right
the
there.
father.
Nah.
What the fuck Jerry Springer kind of shit is this?
Right? That's not nice.
Did she go around the freaking funeral with a bag of Q-tips like, get my DNA from you, you get some DNA?
That is really not nice, hey, to do that at the funeral.
That is just fucked up. Like, wait a day or two.
Maury. Right?
Like,
Evie, what? People in the South do that, Ilya? What? They just do that at the funeral, right?
There's Southern kindness and hospitality. But not that.
There's like
Like-
sweet tea and scones. Like
I don't
there's
want to
not-
know what's going to happen at Becky Hill's funeral.
You had one job, Ilya.
Who the fuck tells somebody mourning their dad that he wasn't their dad
At the funeral.
at the funeral?
Well, you know, maybe they're from out of state and like they're just there for a day and they had no other choice but to do it then.
She killed her husband, not the person that did that.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Well, no, not allegedly now, but
Allegedly. I don't know, we're starting again. Allegedly. Allegedly.
what the fuck? What kind? Like,
Yeah. They saw the opportunity. They took it.
unless they were trying to fuck her and was like trying to move in for a grift, what the hell is your problem?
Don't feel so bad. It wasn't really your dad that died.
Glass half full.
That's
Glass
actually a
half
good
full.
one.
You didn't actually lose your dad, okay?
You've got another one. Da 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 da. It's a game show. Dun, dun, da, da, dun, dun, dun. What's in the box? Not your dad. That's too funny.
I'll show you who
in
your daddy
1997
is.
at his funeral. Now, in 2013, is kind of the next major event. That is when Gary and Melody buy the Purcell Lane house, where you saw the photos in Mr. Fogus' opening of the house. That's when that was purchased, 2013. They move in there, and when they get there, shortly thereafter, Scott moves in to move into the apartment that is above the barn. Now, all the kids, they also have kids and wives that are relevant to this case. And Scott was married to Jenna. And her name was Jenna Farris. Since Gary's death, they have, my understanding is they have divorced. She has changed her name. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. I haven't talked to her to figure out how she pronounces it. But that is, Jenna Farris was her name. Chris also has other children by another woman, and that is Ella Farris and Addison Farris. Ella, at the time in July, the 3rd, 4th, 5th of 2018, she was over at her friend Emily's house, or I'm sorry, Emma's house. And Addison was over at Melody and Gary's house on the 5th, or I'm sorry, on the 4th. She came over after the lake. And I'll go through the timeline. Emily, this is Chris Payne. You know,
Oh,
with
look,
the
he's
prior
very
difficulties
small.
of the family. Chris Payne was a little bit of that.
What? A bit of a pain.
And Amanda is married to Chad. Chad's the one I was telling you about. He's the one who talked about the Ferris wheel and about how there's always something going on. Basically, this family is like a soap opera. That is Chad. And Chad also has a daughter by another woman, and her name is Cameron Bruce. Cameron is who was there with Addison on the 4th.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about the timeline. So, you already heard a lot about the burn pile. So, Gary just started the burn pile on July 3rd. Okay, we know that. That's fact. Also, a couple of other interesting things happened. Addison and Cameron don't live in Georgia. All right? Those are Chris's children.
Of course,
Or
there's a Chad.
Ella and Addison do not live in Georgia. They live in Maine. On July 3rd, they flew in to Hartsville, Jackson. Chris went and picked them up, and they drove up. They came to Melody and Gary's house. Ella had already been dropped off at Emma's house, and Addison came with Chris to see Melody and Gary. And they see both Melody and Gary. Now it is, and I'll go into it more here in a moment, there is some contention about what Addison says how the house was on the 4th, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. Now on the 4th,
Yeah, right.
that is when Melody goes to Lake Lanier. We actually, you'll see, and the evidence will show that we've got a parking receipt. I actually got two things. We've got a parking receipt from Lake Lanier that shows the time that she went in. There's also a ATM slip that was in her car that we got photographs of, to show that, her withdrawing money, and that was on the 3rd. And we'll talk about those here more in a minute. July 4th, that is when Addison and Cameron spend the night at the house. Now, Cameron and Addison, they had two different versions of events about how it was. Addison's more, it was kind of weird. Melody didn't want us to go outside. She made us go to bed early. Cameron will testify that they did go outside. They went and saw the horses. Nothing was weird. We actually snuck out of the house at 10 o'clock, went to the hot tub, were in the hot tub for a while, came back in, went to bed. Nothing really out of the normal. The reason, you'll also see that some evidence from Addison. There's a text message to Melody from Addison that says, hey, can we spend the night tonight on July the 3rd? And Melody responds, says, no, not tonight. And we'll have to uncover the reason for that, do the evidence. I don't want to speculate here as to what that was. But we do know that that is true. She said, no, not tonight. And she spent the night the following night after they got back from Lake Lanier. On July 5th, that is where things with this case get interesting. The remains are found on the burn pile. Now, that day started, Melody grocery shopping, the kids are there. But to sum it up, what it's really going to show is the girls wanted to ride the RTV. Melody says, go downstairs and ask your grandpa. They called him Big Daddy.
Okay.
Go downstairs and ask him. He's not there. I don't know where he is. So they start looking for him. Eventually, Amanda comes over because what originally the plan was is Melody, Amanda, Addison, and Cameron, they were going to have a day together. They were probably going to go eat lunch. Had talked about potentially going to get their nails done, and basically just having a girls' day together. Now, when Amanda got there, they all begin looking around the house. Can't find him. Gary's nowhere to be found. His car's still there.
Where's Big
But none of this
Daddy?
is super out of normal. Gary was a workaholic. Sometimes he would take Uber so he didn't have to drive. He essentially would be gone, for days. He may come home, he may not. And we'll get into their relationship here in a minute. So no alarms were really raised at this point. Now, Scott comes over, and that's where things do get interesting. When Scott gets there, he comes in the house and immediately goes downstairs. After proclaiming to the family something along the lines of, where's the gun? And he goes downstairs, then returns and says, the gun's gone. Now,
Really?
Gun. I call it the magic gun. Because Scott Farris
The
is
magic
the only person to
gun.
ever see this gun. There's nobody else, don't him. You'll hear evidence that he found it in the drawer while he was looking for a remote to help the DirecTV man. And then he found the gun. He gives a very detailed description of it. And that's it. Nothing else. And this was a few months before July when he had the DirecTV. Actually, I think it was the beginning of June, so about a month before is when Scott sees this gun. And he claims he has no idea, he's never seen this gun before. It's very strange, this gun is here, and he didn't know anything about it. But he also didn't do anything about it. Now, 6 years later, this is where Jenna Farris kind of comes in and is interesting. 6 years later, she gives an interview to the district attorney's office claiming she also saw a gun in the basement that you saw in Mr. Focus's opening, where Gary was. However, this gun looked completely different than the one Scott described and is in a completely different location than where Scott said it was. So these are the only two people that have seen this gun, and the guns they described don't even match each other, and one of them talked about it 6 years later. Now, after Gary's remains were found,
Gun,
he was
gun.
taken down to Georgia Bureau of Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
Was there a gun mystery?
Forensics Department to the crime lab, and that's where an autopsy was performed. But after July 5th, 2018, 348 days go by. Melody's not arrested at this point. She's interviewed several times. I believe the evidence will show that, or I believe that state will be playing those interviews for you, so you'll actually see Melody testifying and answering law enforcement questions. But 348 days passed.
Hey,
Now, in that
Benjamin Gray.
348 days,
Thank you for being a
you'll see
member for
evidence
10
they're doing audio
months.
testing. What that was is they
This
put a
trial was
ballistic gun
fire.
in the
Fire.
living room of the house, and they shot it with a revolver. And they had members of the Cherokee Marshal's office, as well as some sheriff's office, out there with decibel readers at different points. They were out at the barn, they were out by the road, and they were also in the house, measuring what the decibel was for firing this revolver into this ballistic dummy. And then they moved the dummy downstairs, and they shot it a bunch of times downstairs. And you're going to see all this. They're going to play all the videos of them doing the shooting and recording the sounds and all that. Diving in the lake, you're going to see they brought out the Cherokee Sheriff's Department to dive into the lake to see about where the gun was. Didn't find anything. Recording Melody's phone calls. And we'll talk more about this
Maybe
momentarily.
tomorrow.
Rusty,
Remind me.
because you already
I
heard
have
about
my
it,
tactile neck.
agreed
And
with Detective
pearls.
Hayes
You need pearls.
that he would put some kind of app on
Well-
his phone and record all their phone calls. And he did it. Months. You're going to hear a lot of those.
Time.
Also, during that 348-day time, Scott and Chris are interviewed several times. Sometimes Scott and Chris are interviewed together, at least on one occasion, and several times Scott is interviewed alone. And then, on June 12th, over 11 months later, the crime lab issues the autopsy report, saying that Gary was the manner of death and the cause of death. The cause of death was gunshot. Manner of death was homicide. And it took them 11 months to issue that report. You'll see, especially when the forensic pathologist who did the autopsy, when he testifies, they weren't waiting on anything. They knew that it was Gary. The forensic, the dental forensic had already come back. It was already Gary. But for some reason, unknown, and you'll see this happens a lot in this case. There's a lot of unknown, and we'll talk about that. No idea why it took 11 months to issue the autopsy report. No idea. But 6 days later, Melody gets arrested. And
Wait,
Ms.
okay,
Fogus
hang on a
was
minute.
She wasn't until home
So
Tennessee.
it took 11 months for the autopsy to come through. And then she was arrested.
I don't know what the autopsy could have told them.
Yeah.
I mean, there would have been a visible bullet hole. Like, there's probably not much of a tox screen you could do.
I get why, like, it's hard to do an autopsy on just some, like, burns remains. Like,
Yeah.
and I get that. But is it causation or just, like, because they, is it because the autopsy was finished that she got arrested,
It was
or
official.
yeah, or is it just because that wraps that part of the case up that she
Maybe.
gets arrested? I don't get whether there's some cause found in the autopsy that means she gets arrested, because yeah, what could it show that proves her to be culpable?
But shouldn't that have been found right away?
Gunshot wound found by the medical examiner. Yeah, I mean, okay, so
I mean, even if it's all charred up, there's still like there's a hole there. Maybe the
Maybe.
fire did that. Maybe we should look into it.
I'm surprised it would take 11 months for that to be like solidified, that evidence, like enough to charge somebody if they were. Well, I suppose there are lots of there are lots of suspects and potential outcomes in this case, but it just seems to me like there was like 11 months means that you didn't have probable cause to arrest her for a long time, right? So you weren't sure, and probable cause to arrest somebody is not a really high bar, right? So you needed the autopsy,
Okay.
Sorry, we've had autopsies take a while due to the condition of the body. Oh yeah, I get that, Taryn. But yeah, it just makes me wonder, like, what did they get from that made it possible, or made her culpable?
Oh, Georgia is backlogged.
All right.
Well, I mean, I'm not.
This is 2018, though. Hang on, this is 2018.
Well, no, I mean, they have a lot of homicides, and
Yeah,
I imagine.
it took that long for the remains to cool off. God.
I mean, geez, it took 5 years for Mark Jensen, my boy.
Dear. Okay.
The cause of death was gunshot. Manner of death was homicide. And it took them 11 months to issue that report. You'll see, especially when the forensic pathologist who did the autopsy, when he testifies, they weren't waiting on anything. They knew that it was Gary. The forensic, the dental forensics had already come back. It was already Gary. But for some reason, unknown, and you'll see this happens a lot in this case, there's a lot of unknown, and we'll talk about that. No idea why it took 11 months to issue the autopsy report. No idea. But 6 days later, Melody gets arrested. And Mr. Focus is right. She wasn't in Tullahoma, Tennessee. She was up there with Martha Jane. They called her and said, hey, we got an arrest warrant for you. And she came and turned herself in. Nothing to hide. Now, John Luke and I came up with this. Actually, well, we didn't come up with it. He had gone. We were been a long day already, so he was done for the day, so he left. And he went up to the drugstore, and there was a girl in there. And the drugstore, I don't know if your office is in downtown Jasper, and there's a Jasper drugstore right on the corner on Main Street in Jasper. It's being sold, and they're doing renovations. And he went in there and asked them a question about something, and they didn't know it, and they go, sometimes the greatest questions go unanswered. And he was like, perfect. Brought me out of my slump. Now I know what I'm dealing with. So that's kind of what we've been talking about the whole time with this case. Because so many things, you're going to be asking yourself so many times in this case, how did this happen? How did this happen? How did this happen? And nobody knows. You can guess. Nobody's going to know. So let's talk about some evidence and questions without answers. So evidence, Melody and Gary. It is no fact, I think also, Melody and Gary affairs. It is common knowledge that they had affairs. People knew. You can even, the grandkids, the evidence will show that even they had their suspicions, and they pretty well knew that, there was, affairs happening. Melody did. Yeah, she was having an affair with Rusty. Gary did. He brought, when they moved here in 1995, Angela Phillips was his secretary. He brought her with him from Birmingham to Atlanta. And she was the secretary.
Yeah,
for 28 years.
KLF.
And she's a bit hesitant to talk about it, but I believe you'll be hearing from her about how they did have a relationship. Gary was also having a relationship, at least somewhat by text and email, with another woman who worked in his building named Joanne Ward or Joanne Hill. So, and you also hear Ted Wiley. Okay, they had affairs. They lived completely separate lives. In the house.
Hey, Megan.
Mr. Focus is showing. In the house.
Nice to have
Melody
you
lived
here.
upstairs. You saw the house.
Welcome.
And it may not be in evidence, but you saw it. That place looks like Southern Living magazine, decorated to the nines. Melody did all that. She lived upstairs. Gary lived downstairs. It was just how they'd done it. It had always been that way for years, ever since the 90s. They lived two separate lives. They would sometimes go days without even seeing each other, without speaking to each other. They didn't really talk, didn't really communicate. They did. They had kids. So they had to have some interaction together. They went and saw Emily and Chris's daughter. Her name's Olivia, when she was born. They still did Christmases together. So they did some of these family things together, but for the most part, they were just married people who did their own thing. And Melody did her thing, and Gary did his thing.
Yeah,
And it was
that's what
just
I got the
what worked for
impression
them.
of.
Now, granted, with the affairs, it wasn't something that was flaunted in their faces. You try to keep some level of discretion, but it was known, and it was just how they lived. Now, Melody's interviews, I expect that you'll be seeing those interviews. And really, the only thing I want to point out that
Can't wait.
is Melody is very blunt, very to the point. She's just who she is. She's a hard woman. And that's how she comes off. And that's how she is with law enforcement. She's very matter of fact. Here's what happened. Here's what I was doing. That's just how she is.
She shouldn't have
But
talked
one of
to
the
the
most
cops.
important things that she says in her interviews, in the very last interview that she ever gave to law enforcement. Last thing she ever said to law enforcement was, I just want my family back.
I just want my family back.
Forensics.
Except Scott.
There's good
Yeah,
data
fuck
forensics in
him.
this case. Some is pretty interesting. I want to talk to
Sorry.
you. I didn't want to
Well,
do any of the photographs.
I mean, she
but
said-
those blood drops.
She said in the sentencing, I want to see him shackled. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
and I think like she came around to that point of view. It took her through the trial and seeing everything that happened for her to get to the point where she wanted to see her son be convicted of the crime. She said she's covered for him long enough and she thought it was the right thing to do to cover for him, but after hearing everything, she felt like that would be justice for Gary.
Yeah.
And she also said that I know that people will think that I only am saying this because I got a guilty verdict. I promise you, Judge, I'm not. It's because I have heard all this stuff.
Yeah.
And now I know. And now I know why. Now I know why, she said. So, look, I don't know if I believe her or not. I need to hear it all.
Yeah.
But
That were talked about by Mr. Focus, you're going to see that there is blood. Well, let me back that up. You will see there is a substance leading down to the basement. You're going to hear from the GBI Land Coffee. She sprays Blue Star.
see, now
which
she's
is
crying.
something
Court
that's
didn't
supposed to
TV didn't
reflect
have
when it's blood.
a
Now,
video
well,
called
that's a
Defendant
whole nother
Cries
You're not going to hear
during
anything about
opening
that
statement.
of whose blood it is, even if it is blood. Now you go down the stairs. They did take a swab, but they find some little drops of blood. Some of them are about as small, or even smaller than 1 centimeter, on the floor. Take a swab of those, send it off. That was Gary's blood. Those blood trails never lead out of the house, upstairs or downstairs. You also, the bullet. We're going to be talking a lot about the bullet, how there's no textiles found on the bullet that is found in the basement. We also have our own forensic pathologist who will be testifying about what his opinion is regarding the manner and cause of death of Gary. And we may also end up calling an additional ballistics expert, depending on how things play out with the ballistics expert who's going to testify for the GPI. But that is just a wait and see. Text messages. The text messages to Terry Braswell, Mr. Fogus said that in his opening, the hope you die a gruesome death. It is a text message. We expect Terry Braswell to come in here and testify. We'll be able to cross-examine him about that text message. However, we do know one fact, excuse me, is that that text message was sent 2 years before. So it wasn't something that was done in July of 2018 or even June of 2008. Years before.
I hope you die a gruesome death.
Expect to see text message between Gary and Scott about their tumultuous relationship, especially involving money. Gary sending to Scott, I better have my debit card back. Also see Melody and Scott, they used to text back and forth a lot. And recorded phone calls. Gonna hear that all
Got
those
blood
calls
all
with
over
Rusty.
my house.
Now, also
That
with
came out
finances. Now, while that house was very nice, and it was like $1 million house. And it's decorated to the nines. And yeah, we've actually got some of Gary's pay stubs, and after taxes, he was bringing home $20,000. Can't remember if it was every 2 weeks or every month. But that home, mortgage to the hill. Debt high, cash low. Gary stopped working,
Debt
the family's
high,
over.
cash
And that's
low.
exactly what happened. Gary passes away, you're gonna hear, first thing that happens to the house, foreclosed. Didn't have enough money to pay for it. Cars gone, everything put in storage. So while they made a lot of money, they blew a lot of money. Now Gary did have some good investments. He had a 401k with his law firm, 401k, profit sharing with the law firm, insurance, life insurance, things like that. But you know, all those aren't accessible cash that you can use. So Gary had to keep working to fund this lifestyle. Now, questions without answers. Where was Gary shot? When Dr. Goody testifies, she's going to have a drawing of skeleton.
Babu is here. Hello, Babu.
Show the ribs, and it's going to show he was shot somewhere here. Is it the front or in the back? Not going to be able to tell you that. Angles, don't know.
I don't think you'd be able to tell.
Also, that's just where was he shot on the body. Where was he shot in the house? The evidence is going to show while there may be some blood, and that was not tested, so we'll call it maybe blood. Upstairs in Melody's portion of the house, we'll call it, and a trail leading downstairs to Gary's portion, we'll call it. You're also going to get evidence from, most likely from Amanda, how a few days before July the 3rd, 4th, 5th, that Gary, excuse me, that Gary had been bitten by one of
Hello,
Melody's
Game
dogs on the
Stay.
ankle and was bleeding.
You're
as he
supposed
walked
to be
down the
cleaning your room,
stairs down
Game
his
Stay.
room so that he could stop the bleeding in his ankle. And that's where the blood came from. But where was he shot? No.
Do you have a fireplace?
How was he put on the burn pile? You're not going to hear about that either. You're going to see photographs of tractors. You're gonna see
Game Stay,
photographs
can
of
you let one of the
RPGs.
cats in here, please?
Probably.
Well,
a
he
horse's
just did
too.
the whole Dr. Evil
But
pinky thing
you're
there.
not going to hear anything
Oh.
about Gary being moved on one of those vehicles. You will hear, though, that there was one drop of blood that was Gary's on
Can
the
I have
step
my cat,
getting
please?
up into the tractor. There's nothing in like the bucket.
Excuse me.
One drop of blood on the tractor.
You're excused.
Where is the gun? Don't know that either. Now, you're going to see photographs of guns. There were guns on the property. There was no .38 found on the property. I think there was an old .32 caliber that was found on the property, but we know that wasn't the gun in question. But what you will find is that Scott has quite a bit of .38 caliber ammunition in the barn. And in fact, he's got it in his bedside table. But yet he claims, and when he testifies, I assume he will be claiming the same thing,
She's lost
that
my
he did not
cats.
own a .38 caliber pistol. He will claim that he owned a .357 Magnum at one point, but that gun had been stolen years ago, and he didn't have anything that would shoot a .38. Yet he has at least one full box of .38 special ammunition and a loose several other various brands of .38 special in his nightstand. And you'll see all those. You'll see the photographs of those. But where is the gun? No idea.
Where
are
are
the
the
bullets?
gun?
They're in Scott's house. Scott's
Where are the
behavior.
bullets there in Scott's
From the
what?
very beginning, like I told you, from the very beginning, Scott is saying, Melody, Melody, Melody. I thought she would do something leading law enforcement down this trail.
So Scott had the
And you're going to see all
bullets.
that. It's going to be very evident of what his intentions are regarding his mother. He does it in his interviews, and he's going to do it on the stand here too. I would suspect that's exactly what he's going to do. But the most important thing is just in that few minutes of getting there, he's already talking about guns being missing that he's the only person that has seen. Then he goes out looking. You're also most likely going to be seeing, there's a trail camera that was, if the burn pile was where I'm standing, was kind of, don't exactly know how far, but down closer to the lake. Kind of pointing at, they had a deer feeder down there to take pictures of the animals.
Dear
And
feeder.
you're going to see that coming up to that camera, for some reason, and I don't think we'll ever get a straight answer.
They
we
had
don't know
deers.
why those photographs got deleted. Or I said, who actually deleted them? Now we know because they were recovered. So we know what photographs are on them, but we don't know of who deleted them. Now, you heard the judge.
that's right. There was
talking
a deer
about-
downstairs
what he took
and-
for us about what reasonable doubt was.
Just its head.
And he said that reasonable doubt was a doubt of a fair minded impartial juror honestly seeking the truth. Then he also went on for a little bit and talked about if your minds are unwavering, unsettled, or unsatisfied, that
here
is
we
against
go.
the law, and with that you should quit the defendant. So essentially, when you're looking at this case, whenever we get done, when you're evaluating this case and you're evaluating all the evidence, you got to say, has the state proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt? Now, what a reasonable doubt is that you have a doubt that you can put a reason to, and it's reasonable. It is a reasonable doubt. Now, that is a high burden for the state.
Come
I'll
on.
go over this and close.
Oh, here we
And
go.
that's like how it shows that.
The
even if
Ivory
they can get to
Lamar
reasonable
type
doubt-
chart.
No, that's still an acquittal. That's still
A
not guilty.
scintilla.
Because you have to
Where's
go
Zach?
beyond reasonable doubt. And remember, that is just a doubt for which you can put a reason. So, ladies
Bring
and
it back,
gentlemen,
bring it back.
When you have, like in this case, when you have.
Are you telling me
questions
that's
that go
all you're going to
unanswered,
say? Dude, this is your chance. Stick with the reasonable doubt chart for a bit longer. Ark. Really? Let's have a look at it. No evidence, no trace of evidence whatsoever. Scintilla, any evidence at all, even the smallest measurable amount of evidence. Reasonable suspicion should be based on specific or particular facts of reason, not based on a hunch or guess. Probable cause, reasonable and trustworthy information that a particular person had committed a particular crime. Preponderance, the greater weight or amount of evidence, so that one's 51 to 49. Clear and convincing, a firm belief that the allegations are true. I think most juries convict on that. What? You're muted.
God damn it, Junior. And the last step, you get to Ilya talk.
Yeah. That
No,
one.
you see my
Reasonable-
name there? Ilya
Where?
talk.
Oh, right.
Look, it's circled. Ilya talk.
Guilty.
Oh, why?
Guilty. Yeah. Okay, so, and if you don't find this one here, then it's not guilty. This was his chance. He could have completely explained this. He didn't even
Maybe
read
he
it
goes
out.
on.
Oh, I doubt it.
Even
he
Ivory
started
Lamar
going-
did that.
He started going on about something else. This is so important. That was his chance,
God,
man.
if only he had Ivory Lamar's chart
Can you
from
please tell
Edgecombe.
people don't know what you're talking about? What are you talking about?
From Theodore Edgecombe trial. Ivory
This is
Lamar.
pretty much it, isn't it?
Yeah.
The one he
it's like,
had.
Yeah, just this whole thing. And he proved it out, like each step he did in his closing, explaining every single step.
Well, I mean, Evie, like, juries get so tired of the reasonable doubt lecture, but I mean, remember that this jury just got seated. So, like, they're just there. So they might not be tired of it. And also, they need to have it hammered into them as much as
yeah.
possible. Because they don't get it, clearly. Right? They get it wrong so often.
It has to be done in voir dire as well as opening. And yes, I understand he was a shit show. It was the one and only thing he did right.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is actually a fairly good chart. It's just like, you can't just leave it up there and go, oh yeah, that's it. Like, come on, man. That was your chance.
No, that's still an acquittal. That's still not guilty. Because they have to go beyond reasonable doubt. And remember, that is just a doubt for which you can put a reason.
A doubt for which you can put a reason
So,
to.
ladies and
Come
gentlemen,
on.
when you have, like in this case, when you have questions that go unanswered, when we're talking about unanswered questions of how did
Yeah,
we get
he
to the
could have
boat?
done much better.
Where's the gun?
Where's
the
my
bullets?
second testicle?
Where are these simple things that we should be able to find? And why, when we find them, they're in a place that, well, we don't like where that's going.
Where's
Law
my wife's
enforcement
boyfriend?
Saw the bullets over in the barn. Yeah, here we are. With Melody charged with malice murder, felony
Why is she
murder,
at
and
the
assault. Nobody heard anything.
child
You're
table?
not going to hear anything about this case that Melody heard, or that anybody
She's
heard.
crying
Melody shoot,
again.
or that she admitted to somebody that she shot him.
Trying to manipulate the jury.
You did hear from, and you'll hear from him again, from Mr. Barton, from Rusty, that he said, Melody said he's on the burn pile. And what Mr. Barton changed, and he'll be under direct and cross-examination in this case, is what he changed. He didn't change what she said. He changed when she said it. So he said, yes, Melody said they found him on the burn pile, not on the 4th. It was on either the 5th or the 6th when she was talking to him, saying, hey, they found Gary dead on the burn pile. Rusty didn't change what he said. He told him when he said it. He got it wrong, and he corrected himself. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you have unanswered questions in a case like this, really the only answer is not guilty. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Fogos, you got witnesses ready?
Okay, so once again, he could have said that
Dolly's
reasonable
sexy.
doubt.
Oh.
Yeah, shut up. Well, I have questions, right? So I'm left with questions about whether Dolly's sexy or not, and so therefore reasonable doubt. I'm not even clear and convinced on that one, actually. I just feel like he missed a really big opportunity there, because usually they even give an example, and he didn't even give an example. Damn it. Yeah, I think that most juries convict on this, a firm belief that the allegations are true.
Yeah.
So if they think that they firmly believe it, then that is fine with them, right? But they don't go through all the possible doubts. So if they go around the room and go, what do you think? I think guilty, 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 and everyone's kind of feeling that it's guilty, then they don't question why and whether or not there are any potential avenues for doubt. Why would you, when we can get out of here quicker,
Yeah.
right? But beyond a reasonable doubt is actually investigating the avenues for doubt. So the foreperson, I think, has a duty to therefore question, okay, so when was your time when you discovered that you were convinced beyond a reasonable doubt? You, what are your reasons? Okay, great. Does anyone have any potential doubts? If anyone has even the slightest thing to put forward, they need to hash it out. There shouldn't just be these like 30-minute results where clearly no one's even talked. No one's even talked. It's too high of a bar. It just is too high of a bar. My favorite judge is the Brooks trial judge. She was cute and fun.
I mean, I have some photoshops of her from 4chan showing her in a provocative attire, we can say.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I goddamn can't stand her.
I know.
And she wasn't fun in the slightest. She was the opposite of fun.
She'd tolerate a lot from a relationship, at least.
Right? Oh, God. She was just... I found her so painful.
Better than
Judge
I'll
Mommy.
allow it. Mommy
true.
judge.
Judge Mommy. Judge Mommy. That was her. Yeah.
The first mommy judge.
Okay, so I'm going to chuck you guys over to Publicly Buzzed. He's doing, Steve over there is doing Who is Luigi Mangione? Why not? Why not do that, hey? Why not?
We all
Everyone
know
else
who
is talking
Mario
about
is.
Luigi. So why not? Let's do that. Okay. And we'll do a song on the way out, and everyone go hello raid when you get
And
there.
what are we doing tomorrow, sweetie? Sorry,
Oh.
princess.
I am, I don't know about you, but you're sacked. We'll do a bit more of this. Why
Okay.
not? So, the only time I'm thinking I'll keep doing a bit of this until the Coburger hearing is on the 12th. So I'll definitely cover the Coburger hearing unless something else comes up which is pressing. So tomorrow there is the crime scene lady who had body cam and things that was showing where the burn pile was, and all the gruesome kind of stuff is going to start to come out. So cool. Nice. Let's do that, eh, mate? Sweet. Yeah, so we'll do that again 9 a.m. tomorrow. Megan says, is it Megan or Megan? Megan says, hello, I came in late. What's the case about? Oh, mate, you're going to have to start from the beginning. But let's just say there's Big Daddy, and he's on the burn pile. He's on the burn pile, and it's super controversial. She's already been found guilty, but she's then gone and blamed the son. So so we're starting again, and she's not guilty. She's starting again, not guilty.
Whoops.
What?
Sorry. Hit the wrong thing.
What are you doing?
I hit the wrong one. Basically, a very rich white family turns out to be trailer trash after all.
Okay. She's an Aussie. We don't say trailer trash. We say bogans.
Okay, a bogan trash family. BLM. Bogan Lives Matter.
Yeah, Bogan Lives Matter. It's great to have you here, Megan. It's great to have you here. All right, I'll see you again tomorrow. For Megan, it's 10 a.m. Australian Daylight Saving Time. For me, it's Australian Eastern Standard Time, which is 9 a.m. For all you guys, it's US Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Right, that makes sense. Yeah, cool. All right, time for the song, and everyone go over to Publicly Buzzed and say hello, Raid. Sweet. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's
Mr.
go.
and Mrs.
Hang on, before
The nature
that.
of my mind.
That's the nature of my mind.
Hold on. Whoa, 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 whoa.
What?
Never mind.
Hurry up. What?
Reach around.
Ah, the reach around. Always need a reach around before we finish.
Me too.
Her name was Helen. She was an Aussie. She was a fake lawyer from the future. She got on YouTube and made some live streams. Her co-host is Donnie and she dances sometimes. The words are always so loud and because she's an 803. To the attention, excited utterance. Her cat is